Standon Calling for glassset.co.uk, and we are with Frank Turner.
Hello.
Hello. Right.
Okay, I'm picking.
One of the easy ones. You've got hundreds to pick. Some smaller. Doesn't mean they're easier.
This is one. Okay, starting strong. What animal do you look like? I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm the wrong person to ask the question. I love dogs. I had lots of dogs when I was a kid, and they say that you look like your pets.
Did you look like your pet?
I'm looking in the mirror now. I don't know. Do I look? I don't. You tell me. What kind of? I'm going to ask you. What animal do I look like?
I don't know. I don't know what your dog looks like.
A bit like this. Okay, like a dog. I love dogs. I would love to be reincarnated as a dog. They have the best life. You just kind of hang out, play, eat food, sort of be excited about life, and then go to sleep and play and then sleep.
Yeah.
Amazing. Right.
Second one.
I go for this one. Ooh. What's my favourite girl's name? You could interpret that in more than one way. I mean, the name of my favourite girl, or which would be my sister. But my favourite girl's name, I don't know. I wrote a song called Isabel because I spent a long time with an Isabel. Unfortunately, no more. But it's a lovely name, and she's a wonderful human being. So let's say Isabel.
That's really very diplomatic. Last one.
Okay. I feel like you're trying to make me pick that one. No. But I'm going to go for this one. This one. What is your favourite Disney character? It's one of my kind of slightly dark secrets that I actually know how to play quite a lot of Disney songs for various reasons. And if you get me to a particular pitch of drunkenness, I will probably crack out like Under the Sea off a Little Mermaid.
Is that a challenge for this evening?
No. I have things to do tomorrow morning. I don't know. Favourite Disney character. I did quite like Sebastian from Little Mermaid. He was pretty badass.
Yeah.
So I've survived round one.
You did survive round one.
And this one's more
round
difficult.
Round two. Well, I say difficult. They just some of them involve just a bit more in depth.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Some of them really aren't.
Okay, so I hope I get the deep one. I like deep. Deep is good. Look, ha. What's your best memory of a gig? That is a really difficult question for me, but for a number of reasons. Mainly because I haven't done anything else with my life other than do gigs since I was 16, so it's kind of difficult to pick one. You know, I mean, yeah. I mean, and also the other thing is, like, on the one hand, I could say, you know, headlining the O2 was pretty amazing. But then I could be all contrarian. It's not actually false, but you can be contrarian about it and say that I played a house show in Philadelphia in 2009 that was pretty much the best gig of all time. Yeah. But then also playing the O2 is pretty fucking cool too. But also, I mean, it's not that I've got a reasonable memory for gigs, but in terms of my sort of super enjoyment with them, it's reasonably kind of short term. Like, we did a gig last weekend in Karlsruhe in Germany, and there was an absolute multitude of people there, and I don't think many people really knew who we were, and this is going to sound like I'm blowing smoke on my own ass, but bear with me here. We've been doing, being me and my band, we've been doing what we do for a really long time, and I think that we're quite good at it now, and we went from a crowd of indifference to a crowd who are 100% on our side. And I just remember we were in the last song of the set, kind of looking around at the boys and just kind of going, yeah, we've fucking got this, man. Like, you know, there's most things in the world I don't know how to do or I'm no good at, but there's one thing I can do, it's like play a good show in front of a crowd, and it made me feel like I know what I'm doing with my life. Alright, okay. Last one of these, and then before we get onto the super hard ones, right?
Some are easier, but yes.
Okay. Who would be my dream festival headliners? Is this from, dream, so it can be anybody, right?
Dead or alive?
Springsteen and the E Street Band. One day, obviously. Let's say Nirvana in 1993.
Okay, very specific.
Early 93. Kind of just around the time In Utero came out, when they were at their absolute fucking peak. And then day 3, I would probably say, well, this is kind of cheating, but I would say like the band doing The Last Waltz. So then you also get Neil Young and Joni Mitchell and Van Morrison and everybody else. But I mean, I think that the band are the only band in history who could get away with being called the band because they were actually good enough. They are one of my all-time favourite bands and one of my biggest influences, and I would love to see them in any capacity, but particularly with all those guests.
No, that makes sense. Okay, the hard round.
Okay, I'm excited. I'm excited.
They're not necessarily harder.
I want them to be hard. I want difficult ones. I want to be challenged. I want to be made uncomfortable. Where will you be when you're 70? Well, if I'm still here, this is the first part of that. I don't know. I mean, you know, I like the idea of being able to make music for the rest of my life. That's a cool idea to me. So maybe I'll be propping up a bar somewhere with a guitar. But also at the same time, you know, doing what I do now was a really big surprise to me in a way, given that I grew up playing punk rock and hardcore. And also, I was in a band that crashed and burned, and not that many people in this world get 2 shots at the music industry. It's quite a rare thing, and I feel eternally grateful that I did get a second sort of attempt, if you like. And so in a way, I like the idea that in 10 years' time I'm going to be doing something that's utterly unexpected to me and to everybody else now. That's kind of cool. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And so, fuck knows what we're doing when I'm 70. One thing, I very much subscribe to the Hunter S. Thompson idea that the purpose of life is not to deliver a pristine body to the grave. You know, I like the idea of being quite fucked when I was 70 because, you know, covered in scars and with a poorly functioning liver and tinnitus. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you might as well go down properly.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's that thing. I mean, it's a slightly different context. The guy, my friend Matt from Birmingham, who does lots of my tattoos, he's quite extremist about this kind of thing, but he always says that people who don't have tattoos are like people who keep the plastic wrapping on their furniture. It's just like, fuck it, get a tattoo, who gives a shit. Like, also, like, when I got the most amazing guitar that I own, it's a Patrick Oakley guitar. Patrick built it for me, and as he handed it to me, he got his keys out of his pocket and scratched the side of it and went, there you go, first scratch, now you can stop being so fucking precious about it. And which I thought was a great thing to do as well. And yeah, so, you know, I'm into that idea of the kind of nicks and cuts and bruises and scars. So hopefully I will be road worn by that point in my life. Are we doing one more, or 2 more, or 7 more? I don't know. You tell me.
Let's do one more and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, alright, let's try this one.
Okay.
What's the naughtiest thing that you did at school? Oh god.
Okay.
Oh my god. I can tell quite a long story against myself now if you want.
Yes.
This is the most trouble I ever got in. I wasn't a particularly devious kid at school. I can't believe I'm about to say the story. Oh fuck. Okay, so I was in Games Workshop when I was a kid. I'm not ashamed. Fuck it. I was in Games Workshop. Whatever. And I had like a kind of a toolbox that I kept my figures in and my paints and all that sort of thing. And there was a little kind of club for like Games Workshop people. This is quite a long story. A little club for Games Workshop folk at school. And this is, by the way, this is when I'm like 12 at a guess, 11 or 12. And so we used to meet up and, you know, you do the Games Workshop thing where you battle it out. And then basically, this one time, this one kid came in who was a member of the Games Workshop thing, and he had like a porn magazine, and it was the first time any of us had ever seen a porn magazine. And obviously, you know how you are at that age, he was like the fucking coolest kid in the universe. And we were all just kind of staring in mystic wonder, like no fucking idea what the fuck is going on with these are just sitting there going strange feelings. Anyway, so we had these, and he would hide them in he had like a toolbox thing as well for Games Workshop, and that we very much stopped playing Games Workshop, just sit around staring at these porn mags. He only had like 3 of them. Anyway, the next thing that happened was he like lost the key for the padlock on his one or something, and I said, don't worry, I'll put him in mine. So I put him in mine, and then at this point this kid who I didn't get on with then immediately went to the teacher who was in charge of it and said that somebody had nicked some stuff out of his box, and the teacher went, right, we've confiscated all the boxes, I'm going to open them all in front of everybody and see who's nicked what of everyone. And I was like, no, I'm fucked, I've been stitched up, I'm fucked.
It's quite deviant.
Yeah, little fucker. Anyway, so I actually ran away and hid because I was so terrified about what was going to happen to me. And eventually they found me, and I got marched into the teacher's office. And it's so funny now. At the time, it wasn't funny at all. He was like, opened, but he obviously knew what was in it by this point. Opened the box for me, and I got my key out. Or it was like a combination lock, and I put it in, kind of going, oh my god, I'm so fucked. My parents are going to kill me. And he opened it up and very carefully took them out and put them in the drawer of his desk and closed the drawer. And was like, well, and I got kind of suspended or something for that. Okay, here's the next thing. The punchline to the story is, I was so terrified of what my mum and dad were going to do about this, and I was just like, I just can't tell them the truth. So what I did was, recently, this is pretty old, Game Boys had just come out at this point. It was the first time I had Game Boys, and Game Boy magazines had been banned at my school because it was all anybody ever did was read Game Boy magazines. So I told my parents that I'd been busted for having banned Game Boy magazines, right? And then There's a parent-teacher meeting thing. My parents had this utterly agonising conversation with the teacher about the magazines, and I was sitting there going, no one fucking mentioned the content of the magazines, because if they do, I'll be busted for like lying to my folks. And I got away with it, although it was brilliant, because the teacher's like, well, obviously, you know, these kind of magazines are morally degenerate. My parents kind of going, yeah, I mean, whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? Just really kind of wondering why this teacher was, and the teacher was a priest as well, and he was so fucking wound up about how utterly disgusting it was that they had the magazines, and my parents going, yeah, terrible. Like, what? Anyway, and then I finally told my parents this story when I was about 28, and I told them the truth of what happened, and my mum laughed her ass off. So there you go, that's probably the worst thing I did when I was
at least you laughed about it.
Yeah,
at that point.
Yeah. And then, well, actually, there's one other story I can tell about at school, which was much later. When I got a scholarship to a weird boarding school, Eton College, and I hated it because it was full of cunts. And that's why I got into punk rock, is because punk rock kind of squared that circle for me. And Joe Strummer was such a huge inspiration for me, because he'd also been privately educated and obviously wasn't a twat. And so it was like, hold on to the Clash. And it also, I got really hardcore into anarchist politics at the time, and there was a group called, in the late 90s, called MAN, which stood for March Against the Monarchy, and they did a bunch of marches, which I did because I'm a staunch Republican, in the English sense of the word, I should add. I went on a bunch of marches, and me and my friend Chris put March Against the Monarchy posters up around school that had a picture of the Queen and a guillotine on it, and we got called into the headmaster's office, who, to his enormous credit, said, I support your right to free expression, but you are essentially advocating the murder of another student's grandmother. And we can't really have that. So so we went around and took him down again, because we were so anarchistic. So yeah, that was the other trouble that I got into.
At least he supported his point with valid reason.
Yeah, and it was quite a good reason at the end of the day, because I wouldn't want to be in his shoes for any reason at all. But yeah, so we went around and took the post. We did also then go on the march, where it was fucking hilarious. We dragged a giant guillotine down Fleet Street. And there was only about 200 people there, but it was awesome. But yeah, one of the days. Anyway.
Oh, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Sorry, I've been spinning yarns.
It's brilliant.
I don't think I've ever publicly told that story about the jazz mag before. So you have an exclusive there.
Brilliant.
And I've never got that.